I'm Professor Adebisi Adebowale, Executive Director, Institute of Agricultural Research and Training, Obafemi Awolowo University, Mo Plantation, Ibadan, from January 2003 to December 2008, and the Pro-Chancellor and Chairman, Bowen University Governing Council from September 2002 to August 2011. Recently, I had two appointments. The first one, I was called upon to be a member of TAG, of TED Fund. And then, in the last 2 weeks, the federal government appointed me into a federal government assignment in repositioning Agricultural Research Council of Nigeria, which is the engine of agricultural research in Nigeria. Those are the two appointments. I want the Nigerian audience to know a very important fact today. Without agricultural research, there will be no agricultural production. And without food security, our economy cannot move. So the engineer, the engine is in agricultural research. But for a long time, people have not focused on agricultural research. Let me explain it this way. A farmer that goes to the farm and wants to produce 5 tons of maize per hectare. If he hasn't got a seed that can produce that, whatever may be the inputs, he will not be able to get that. But if he gets a seed that will be able to produce that 5 tons, then he will be able to make his money. Of what use is it for a farmer to get a seed that produces 2 tons, 1.5 tons, and he is unable to make his money? But if for the same inputs, for the same cost, production cost, it can produce 5 tons, then it then becomes an economically viable production. Can you see where I'm going now? So without agricultural research, any money put into agricultural productivity is not going to make it. In fact, the whole economy of Nigeria depends on agricultural research. That is the truth. Until we get to that situation where we don't pay lip service to agriculture, until then can our economy improve. All this while, we have been paying lip service to agriculture. It is impossible for me to go and get a loan of say 10 million at 10% interest and wants to make anything out of that. No. I have my farm. In fact, one of the reasons why it looks as if I'm a little bit knowledgeable in agriculture is because I've gone into agriculture myself. I have my own farm at Olonda in Ibadan, acres of land, and I have maize, pigs, cattle, goats, sheep, and I built a house, for my staff. But I got a loan from the bank, and at that time they were charging 12% interest. Of course, it came to a time when I could not even pay the salary of my staff. The interest was too much. And then I said, the other way around for me is to look for seeds. And when I talk of seeds, I'm talking of seeds in a larger form. That is seeds for cattle, for sheep, for goat, for pigs. That is, I'm looking for a pig, a sow, that can give me 16 this at a time. I'm looking for a cow that can give me twins at a time. That is where agricultural research comes in. You select, genetic selection, and you bring all these, and then if you are now charging me 11%, 10%, but my productivity rises up, I'll be able to make it. But if all I'm doing is that I have a cow that produces one seed in 9 months, I'm not going to make it. That is where agricultural research comes in. Either you are talking of maize, you are talking of cowpea, you are talking of sheep, you are talking of goat, until we get to a stage where productivity increases per animal or per hectare. We are just paying lip service to agriculture. And if you say you want to import seeds, what of our environment? What of our soil? What of fertilizer? What of other inputs? The solution is hydra-headed. Number one, the government should pour more money into agricultural research. Number one. Number two, for God's sake, if we can give a loan without interest to farmers, a loan without interest to farmers, or at worst, very low interest rate, then farmers will be enticed. All our young people are not going to the farm because of that. 3, the drudgery in agriculture should be removed. If every local government in this country has 2, 3, 4 tractors and they give it to farmers at a very low cost, then that farmer who, if he uses his hoe and cutlass, can make 400 heaps in a day. With a tractor, it will make thousands. All the government need to do is to make sure that they have these tractors in every local government, and make sure that they oversee, they supervise the use of those tractors for farmers to be able to go around and use it to their farms. If you go to Okeogun in Oyo State, the food basket of Oyo State, the drudgery has driven many of the farmers from farm. The young people are not prepared to come. But if they have tractors and other inputs, production will shoot up. And if they make their money, and people see that they are making their money, other people will come to agriculture. Agricultural research, good seeds with high input. 2, loans at low interest or zero interest. 3, removal of drudgeries. 4, which I have not said before, there is no country all over the world that does not subsidize agriculture, including US. In fact, there was a time when the milk produced by United States of America farmers have to be offloaded into the Atlantic Ocean because they are produced far, far more than they need. The farmers were encouraged because they are making their money. If you and I, if we are on an enterprise and we are making our money, we won't leave the place as long as we are making our money. Oh, if you get to a farm and you see the farmer parking about 2 or 3 vehicles, a bus, a tractor, and so on and so forth, houses and so on, and he's making it, and he's sponsoring his children in school, and building houses, and if you ask him for whatever, and he can do it from his family, oh, he will be a good man. People will like to, to get an input into his business. But if all we see are people coming from farm with closed turn, dirty like mechanic, finding it difficult to make ends meet, of course, only very people will go. Certainly not the youth. With that, they can have a way out. One, the government has tried by having reserves in different states. So when these grains are very much available, they will go and put it in those reserves. And then when it is getting expensive, they will release it. Like it happened about a few months ago, you learn when the president had to give an order for grains to be moved out. We need more of that. In crops, we can have that very well. In eggs, you can preserve egg, but not when it's still in its shell. It has to be broken and, reserved in freezers. That way, you can, reserve it for many months. At the time when these eggs were available and they were unsold, some people needed them. The problem is getting to them. And of course, you are well aware that from most of our rural areas to cities where these commodities are needed, the roads are bad. Transportation fares are up. And therefore, it also impedes the movement, the evacuation of these products. My parting word is that I want both the leaders and the led to take agriculture seriously. And then my second advice is that we want to thank the Honorable Minister of Agriculture for this committee on repositioning of ARCN. Our prayer is that as soon as we deliver, those recommendations should be immediately implemented. It will bring down the cost of, living in the nation.